So why should I have to adapt to it? You should have to adapt to me.
Hello and welcome to the 8th entry of my film journal, where I record my experience watching your favorite movie. I'm Frankie, and today I'm switching genres with Renfield. Are you really just licking your butt right now? Is there no better time for that? Okay. Renfield starts at a meeting for a self-help group for people in codependent relationships, and we hear the guy leading the meeting utter the sentence.
Caitlin, this is a process, okay? But it's important for you to remember that the only person who can save us is ourselves.
I wonder if this might have anything to do with our main character storyline. I don't know. Will he save himself? Will he not? Robert Montague Renfield is in a bit of a pickle. He has been in a destructive relationship with Dracula for many decades. During that time, Dracula wined and dined him, took him to exotic places, and of course, made Renfield his familiar, which means that he is in charge of taking care of Dracula's every need,
including staff changes and arranging his special dietary requirements.
I love the style choices.
And even though they too have had their good times, Renfield is now finding that these times do not last forever.
They will lock you away for what you've done for me. I am your only salvation. I am the only one who cares for you.
I kind of did this.
Now, Renfield has to protect Dracula from vampire hunters, not just by finding appropriate living arrangements, but also by eating bugs that give him superpowers. Do you eat bugs? You sometimes eat bugs. You know I'm talking to you. Do you speak English?
Master, you okay?
Holy shit. I would not make it as a familiar.
The two have been through the ringer so many times with their relationship that when Dracula gets burned up during a fight with some hunters and they need to relocate so that Dracula can heal, Renfield calls this their transitional period.
So I take him to a new city, nurse him back to full power, find a
It's
decent
cool
place
how
to ride
they
it out, until
are
the
kind
whole
of bringing
cycle
out
starts all
the
over again.
cyclical nature of that type of lifestyle and their toxic relationship.
Now, Renfield attends self-help meetings in order to find victims for Dracula to feast on. But instead of preying on the members of the group, he finds the toxic partners they are talking about.
Now, no one's ever going to call me a hero, but I've come up with a mutually beneficial solution for people like Caitlin. Get rid of their monsters by giving mine what he needs.
Are you trying to fix your own problems by not fixing your own problems and fixing other people's problems? Is that what's happening? Renfield? Are you needing to deal with a few things? He goes to find Caitlin's drug-dealing boyfriend and gets there just before the hitman who was sent to take care of the drug gang for stealing a bunch of drugs, and Renfield basically gets disemboweled. Don't worry too much though, cause he eats a bug and punches the guy in the face so hard that his head flies straight off.
Oh. I hate when that happens.
He stuffs his internal organs back in and sees Teddy Lobo, who hired the hitman, drive off in his fancy car.
I wasn't expecting this to be as much of a action movie. But then again, I feel like I didn't really hear many people talk about this, so I don't know what I was expecting. Dracula?
In a police traffic stop, Lobo runs into Rebecca Quincy, a police officer who has been investigating his family, and because he has a bunch of drugs in the car, he tries to drive through the traffic stop. The police shoot the car's tires and Lobo grabs a bunch of bricks of cocaine and makes a run for it while throwing the bricks at the cops. This doesn't end well for him and Quincy arrests him. This is great problem solving. I predict a fantastic future for your mob. Everything will work out as it should. Renfield drags the bodies of the bad guys to Dracula, but apparently crime doesn't really make you taste too good.
See, this is like too much work for me. I would never make it.
You know it's not the gender I'm concerned with. Yeah, I'll eat boys, I'll eat girls.
Don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Is this the bisexual representation that we need?
Hell yeah, Dracula.
Dracula does not like that Renfield is advocating for them to have some stability and freedom in their lives, so he disembowels Renfield for the second time.
Not twice in one day. Oh my god. Could you imagine? Ugh.
My needs are the only thing that matters, servant.
What a wonderfully balanced relationship. Dracula uses his own blood to heal Renfield's injury, because now he showed him who is boss. Dracula blood would be like a really good marketing opportunity for like tomato juice or something. Maybe this is why the movie was a flop. They just didn't go the marketing route of like what Wicked is doing with this I don't know. They had everything, like a Starbucks drink or something. I don't have a Starbucks in my country, so I wouldn't know, but in the police station, Quincy and his colleague see Lobo just straight up confessing his crimes to no one in an empty interrogation room. Quincy thinks this means she's gonna be able to bring down the whole Lobo mob family, but just then, his lawyer turns up and he can leave while having a Britney moment.
You. You're cool. You. I'm out.
Quincy's boss is like, your dad was a great cop, but you can't just bring down a whole mob through a traffic stop. So stop acting like a cop and stop doing your job. He did nothing wrong. He can just go, even though he drove into a bunch of stuff and people probably, and he had a bunch of cocaine in his car, and he ran away with some of that cocaine and threw it at the cops. This man is innocent. Quincy's having a meltdown in a corridor when her sister, an FBI agent who just happens to conveniently work in the same building as her, shows up and they have an argument about the Lobos being free when they caused their dad's death.
Does every cop have the same backstory?
What'd you do this
Is
time?
that like a mandatory thing to qualify?
What I do every time.
Her sister's like, if you don't let go of the anger you feel, then you're never gonna get justice, because following the rules gets you everything. And I'm also sad about that, so don't be angry anymore. That's how things work.
Kind of would have wanted to see that scene with them two in the same frame.
At the Lobos mansion, Teddy meets his mom in what seems to be their torture basement, and she reminds him that their family is the most feared due to the violence they can accomplish, and she needs to make sure that Teddy can get his hands dirty in order to know that their empire's future is secure.
I need to know whose hands it belongs.
A murder
I
castle.
need to know those hands can get a little dirty.
No empire is complete without a murder castle.
In the crime scene we saw earlier, Quincy finds a pen from one of the joints that Renfield frequents, and they go to check the place out. What a great coincidence that Renfield is there trying to chloroform people, and Teddy's there with his minions in order to take out Quincy.
Quincy. That's such a action movie cop name.
The mob starts shooting up the place, and Lobo and Quincy have a face-off where she dares him to shoot her.
I think this is a fucking game. I will shoot you in your fucking face.
Yeah, dare you.
I dare you. I dare you. Luckily for her, Renfield manages to eat a bug, and this, sparks his superpowers, and he helps her to take out the mob guys, even though Teddy escapes. Renfield is inspired by Quincy standing up to Teddy, and they bond while everyone else is still hiding from their horrific situation. Quincy calls him a hero, and Renfield forgets his reality for a moment. While all of this is happening, Dracula's been healing, and he's been ruminating on his own power, as you do when you have power, and this has made him believe that he is like a god, and that the world should bow down to him.
You and I forever until the end of time.
Cage is great. I'm loving his like a deranged physicality.
A distraught Renfield goes to his self-help meeting and opens up for the first time about his toxic relationship with his employer. Together they identify Dracula as a narcissist, which is a great move, and the members encourage him to focus on his own needs instead of his boss's so that he could grow to full power.
What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes, he's right.
Montage time. Montage. It is time for a montage.
This is a makeover montage.
Renfield gets his own apartment, he cleans it up, he decorates it, he releases his bugs, and he fully indulges in some self-care. Meanwhile, Quincy's at the police office and she's just yelling at everyone because Lobo's getting away with stuff and no one's really listening to her or doing their job. And then Renfield shows up with some flowers and he's also kind of like cleaned himself up after his montage. And he's there to like give a witness statement or something. Renfield encourages Quincy to continue standing up to the monsters of the world, and tender music plays to tell us that they are emotionally bonding. Quincy then asks her FBI agent sister to run some DNA on the pen that she found in the crime scene because she does not trust her colleagues. The Lobos, though, they have some skills. They've hacked into the whole city's surveillance cameras, and this means that they can track Renfield through facial recognition software, and they find out where he's been staying. They show up to the abandoned hospital that Dracula is staying in order to find and take out Renfield, but instead, they find a bunch of decaying bodies before Dracula makes Teddy admit that they are there for Renfield, and he poof turns into a bunch of bats and flies off in anger. Low-key wish I could do that. That would be a pretty sick exit, I think, at certain points. Just as Renfield's leaving Quincy a voice message asking her out, he walks into his new apartment and finds that Dracula has been waiting for him while drinking what seems like a very delicious cocktail.
Oh no. Oh no. That's good. Did you like that? Huh? Did you like it?
Dracula challenges Renfield's recent behavior and makes himself out to be the victim, as he gaslights Renfield and reminds him that he abandoned his wife and daughter, to which Renfield uses the book How to Defend Yourself Against a Narcissist to defend himself. Dracula sees the sticker of the church where Renfield's self-help meetings take place on the book and disappears, and Quincy makes the connection that many murder victims are connected through these specific support meetings. Renfield runs to the meeting to save everyone just before Dracula shows up and is invited in by the meeting's facilitator.
Hello. Hello. Mm-hmm. She wants her dinner. Feed me. Feed me. Actually, it turns out that it's my dog Dracula, and I'm the familiar, actually. Because she also just lives in my house, and I have to feed her all the time, so.
Dracula makes a scene, to describe it mildly, and threatens to make the world suffer because Renfield betrayed him.
Oh no. All his friends.
Dracula disappears just moments before Quincy shows up, and she finds Renfield covered in blood. Plot twist time. Turns out, Quincy's partner has been working with the rest of the police and the Lobo family this entire time. There's a shootout, and Quincy gets shot, but manages to escape with Renfield. Dracula makes a deal with Teddy Lobo where they join their evil forces.
sounds like someone to do
Are you
business
happy or are you gonna fuck me up?
with. 100%.
At Renfield's flat, an injured Quincy eats some murder cookies, and Renfield tries to explain the situation with Count Dracula. Quincy's sister calls with details about Renfield being one of the most prolific serial killers of all time, which is exactly the information you want to hear when you're in some guy's flat. They agree to meet at a cafe in 20 minutes, but cops and Lobo show up just as Quincy and Renfield are leaving his flat.
It's cool how it's very obvious that the cops and criminals are friends here. Wonder if that ever happens in reality.
Renfield eats his neighbor boy's ants and beats the shit out of everyone. The scene is very gnarly to describe, and hopefully you get the idea by whatever I'm showing you right now.
Do arms just... No. No. Don't want to think about it.
Meanwhile, Dracula gets delivered to Teddy's mom via coffin, and these two spark a connection. Quincy and Renfield bond over coffee after the horrendous action scene, and they share family histories. Renfield admits he's made a lot of mistakes and encourages Quincy to mend her relationship with her sister. When she calls her sister, Lobo Mom picks up and tells her that she in fact has her sister. In order to save her, Renfield and Quincy stock up on guns, wooden stakes, crucifixes, and of course, bugs. You gotta get them bugs. Actually, I feel like just flooding the mansion with bugs would be a great idea, because imagine you would have so many opportunities to just munch on them whenever you want, and also usually people don't really like bugs, at least like a lot of bugs. So, I don't know. When they reach the Lobo mansion, they find out that all the bad guys have been made into Dracula's familiars, and they fight it out. Huh? How's your familiar doing? Quincy holds the mob mom to gunpoint, but Dracula sneaks up to her and they meet for the first time, just as Teddy and Renfield fight, and Renfield points out that Teddy has stepped into a servant position with Dracula. Renfield obliterates Teddy, as you can see from these x-ray shots. Dracula tries to convince Quincy into a familiar relationship by promising to heal her sister, who's been off-screen somehow. Quincy acts as if she's going to join Dracula's mission in order to save her sister, and gets close enough to the remote that controls the window shades, and Dracula turns into a bunch of bats as he gets scorched by fire again. They move to the torture basement, where Dracula catches Quincy up in the air, and she shoots his toe so that the blood can fall down onto an injured Renfield. Renfield attacks Dracula but gets tackled after Dracula's teeth get stuck in his hands, but he manages to gather full power in the name of codependent people everywhere. He takes back his power from Dracula by giving Dracula a particularly horrifying facial, and Quincy uses cocaine to trap the Dark Lord in a protection circle. To upbeat music, the two use every tool that the Lobos have in their torture basement to get rid of Dracula.
At least he has a good attitude about it.
Quincy and her sister, who they brought back to life via Dracula blood, arrest the Lobo mom, and they share a hug because they're closer now apparently, and they use the leftover Dracula blood to resurrect all the self-help peeps who died before. So basically, Renfield's actions have no consequences. Did he save himself? I guess Dracula's dead, so he saved himself. Kind of saved everyone else, but they were dead because of him, so...
You really can get away with anything if you're a white British man. You don't need to go to jail. We need your kind out here.
The end. Overall, I did quite enjoy watching this movie, even though it had some elements that didn't work too well.
Cool. That was pretty fun. I liked how they brought this kind of quite old horror story into a action comedy setting, and how they tied in also newer self-help talk and kind of psychology concepts. It's a fun take on Dracula.
Quite a few of the jokes made me laugh, and the action sequences were enjoyable. There's just something about seeing these characters in a more gory and action-filled environment when the original movie is, I would say, pretty solemn. It was also cool that they played with the idea of Renfield being in a toxic relationship with Dracula. It fit really well with the relationship dynamic, and I think it also gave an interesting way for modern audiences to connect with these characters. The weakest part in terms of writing to me was essentially surrounding Quincy's character. The police officer character who must avenge their parents' death is just it's just so overdone, and this movie didn't really bring much of a new angle to it, in my opinion. They also really failed to establish a meaningful relationship between the sisters to me, partly because of how their shared scenes were shot and edited, and maybe partly because of the writing. But maybe, I don't know, it feels like maybe their scenes were shot by a second unit or something. It's just like it didn't match something in my head. Also, the whole Quincy helping Renfield become into a hero plot point and their supposed romance felt pretty flat. They just didn't really have a lot of chemistry. But maybe it could be argued that that's part of Renfield just needing some sort of validation from others, kind of like his relationship with Dracula, but I don't know. What do you think? Like I said before, though, I did enjoy the editing and staging of the action sequences, and I actually think the black and white shots in the beginning where they insert Holt and Cage into the 1931 movie were really well done. My absolute favorite part of this movie was Cage's performance, though. I think he did an excellent job in terms of the character's evolving physicality as he is going through the healing process. And I also found him very funny, like his timing and delivering of certain sentences was very funny. When it comes to Dracula's character, I think people usually imagine him as pretty stoic, but here I really liked how Cage sort of varied his level of derangement and evolved his perception of the world through what he was going through at any given point. So to wrap this up, I thought it was a pretty funny movie, but I'm not very surprised that it was a bit of a flop. It seems like there was just something in the marketing that didn't quite hit, because from what I remember seeing online about it when it first came out, didn't really lead me to understand that I should expect an action movie. So I was a little surprised, I guess. It's montage time. Montage. It is time for a montage. My dog is giving me a side eye. Hey you. Thanks for watching this whole video. If you like what I do, why not hit the subscribe button just over there and let me know what movie I should watch next in the comments. YouTube thinks that you might like that video over there, but I also worked on that one below, so just click on either one. Just do it. You want to. Just do it. And I hope you enjoy watching your next movie. Bye.